What a pretty picture, Kathy.
It is.
It is a nice picture.
All right, so with it being just after 6:30 on Tuesday, April 14th, I will call this meeting of the WPS School Committee to order. Just as a quick reminder to those who may be watching, this on March 12, 2020, Governor Baker issued an executive order modifying the requirements of the open meeting law. He is now allowing public bodies to meet, as we are right now, via any type of internet or phone basis, with the intent that we do everything possible to allow the public to join the meeting in real time. We did put the link on the website for anybody to join the meeting if they wanted to. I don't see anybody that has as of yet, but we will be recording this, and Mrs. Perangeli, we will be putting this on the district website, correct?
Yes.
All righty. First of all, let me thank everybody for joining us tonight. I hope everybody is doing well and that you and your families are healthy in this difficult time. The first item on the agenda, I will entertain a motion to approve our March 10th, 2020 minutes.
So moved.
There is a motion and a second. The motion was made by Mrs. Blythe, and I believe the second was made by Mrs. Siddiqui. Just one quick correction, Laurie, if you could make it in the final version. On the bottom of page 5, right above where section C starts, there's a little paragraph that talks about the 3 items below, and there's a sentence that says, "This is the second reading of the following." I believe it just should say, "This is the third reading of the following," because the 3 following items were the third and final reading of the policy changes.
I'll make those changes.
Thank you. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, Laurie, would you poll the committee, please?
Member Siddiqui?
Yeah.
Member Blythe?
Yes.
Member Naprata?
Yes.
Member McCara?
Yes.
Chairman Hurton?
Yes. Next item on the, that's a unanimous vote. Next item on the agenda is the Superintendent's Report. Good evening, Dr. Gogan.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well under these trying times of trying to figure out what our new normal is. I have a somewhat lengthy report tonight because we've been very busy. We have been extremely busy. I don't think we knew what the word busy meant before, and we were pretty busy before. I'm very, very, very proud of all of the things that are going on in our district. And as you'll see in my report, we are truly navigating an uncharted territory. And I think we have put some very good structures in place. So I'll go through my report and be happy to answer any questions. I'm going to start tonight with talking a little bit about a personnel update. I have received the notification from Mrs. Daniels that she has an intent to retire August 17th in 2020. I know that you know this, but I want to say this publicly. Jan's an integral part of our central office team and the district, and she's been around for 15 years, I believe. I know that we, the central office team, and many of the teachers and staff and families are going to miss her dearly. But I wanted to give Janice an opportunity to speak. And then I just have one more thing to say.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Never in my dreams did I ever think that I would be giving my retirement announcement in a Zoom meeting. I just want to thank all of you for letting me come in and actually read. I have to read this because I am a very emotional person, as most of you well know. So I did send this letter to Dr. Gogan the other day. And so I'm just going to read it for you. After 34 years of public education, including 15 years working for the Webster Public Schools, I have decided it is time to retire. The effective date will be on August 17th, 2020. Working for the Webster Public Schools has been a fulfilling experience, both professionally and personally for me. To say that I work with the best superintendent and central office staff would be an understatement. Together, we worked to improve the educational resources and opportunities for teachers and students. In addition, there were countless hours of collaboration with building administrators, teachers, and of course my administrative assistant, which helped to formulate and drive many of the important decisions or actions throughout my tenure. Lastly, I will truly miss the students. They are the one reason why I became an educator so many years ago. It is they who fill my bucket with joyful tears and spirited belief, knowing that each and every one of them are capable of achieving unimaginable goals and dreams. I knew I was going to do that. Mr. Chairman and members of the school committee, thank you for the years we worked together and to making continued improvements in the education for all children of Webster, and for supporting all the academic extended day initiatives to which I oversaw. The support you gave from your hearts and minds speaks volumes with me across the town of Webster and of course, Massachusetts. And I just want to thank you so much for that. I'm done.
Well, let me just step in for a minute and try to get through this without continuing to tear up as I have been. You know, when Dr. Gogan joined the district, there's been a lot of improvements. And I've said this publicly, and I think I've shared this with her privately, that I think probably one of the most amazing and dramatic improvements that we have made as a district is in an incredible amount of time, you and others, but I know it was primarily driven by you, Janice, identified issues that we had for years with our curriculum. And at not being an educator, it was very easy for me to always say to myself, I don't get it. There's a problem. Why can't we just come up with an easy solution and fix it? Again, I don't understand the intricacies of trying to realign curriculum and take little minds at different ages and trying to get them to think in different ways. But the work that was done in a very short amount of time in identifying the problem with curriculum, coming up with solutions, identifying what are the best solutions for our district and also that we can afford, collaborating with staff and getting those programs implemented, honestly, I think was one of the greatest accomplishments I've seen in the last 12 years of working closely with administrators. And I know it was a team effort, but I also know, in addition to all the federal grants that you worked on and keeping everything else moving, that you had a tremendous role in that. So it's very difficult for me to see you leave as a friend and as a member of the committee, but I think I speak on behalf of the entire committee and really want to thank you for your heartfelt efforts and your honesty all these years. And we're very, very appreciative of what you've given to this school district.
Thank you.
And I'll certainly open it
I'm
up.
very emotional right now. I can't talk.
That's fine.
Thank you, David.
If I can jump in, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Oh, Jan, I just want to say that I'm real, you know, from the bottom of my heart, I'm really excited for you and sad at the same time. I know this is something you've talked about for a couple of years now, and you know, it's the right step for you, and I'm really happy for you because it's time for you to enjoy your family and your daughter and to go out and do those things. But I'm truly going to miss you around the office on the day-to-day interactions. I've seen you grow so much, even as an employee over the years, working up from a coach all the way up to coming into the office when you're going to be the Title I coordinator with a packet of stickies and notes, and I said, how do you get to that number? And you had no idea. And you
But it worked out.
It was the most colorful thing I've ever seen in my life, but you couldn't make heads or tails of it. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how is she going to do this? How are we going to get through this? And to where you are today is just miles, and you've just grown so much as an employee, as a friend, as an administrator, and I am going to miss you to like crazy. But I am from the bottom of my heart so happy for you. And
Thank you.
I know you're going to be around for a while. So,
Yes.
and you'll be back. I'm
Yes,
sure.
and we'll still be on the
Some sort of
links. Don't
capacity.
forget.
So thank you for all your work you've done. You've been a true pleasure to work with over the years. And this is not goodbye. This is I'll see you on the golf course. And,
Absolutely.
you know, we'll keep it going. But thank you so much.
Mo, you've helped me
We
out
were very
tremendously.
lucky to have you. Very lucky.
Thank you.
There is
And
one
thank
thing
you.
about our team, is that we all lift each other up. And we all work together very well. And you are an integral part of that. And I'm not going to say anything, but just show you.
Are you giving it to me?
Yeah.
Finally, yes.
Just know that we will be working very hard between now and August.
I know. Ruth Ann, I
And,
really
and
wanted,
it's not the end.
I was, thank you for not getting me the flowers. I do appreciate the starfish, but I know it's tradition to take a picture after all of this. So I'm one up on you. I have you all here, and I'm going to take a screenshot. So everybody smile.
Awesome.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta do this. Ready? All right. No, I don't want to record it. Oh, I'm so nervous here. Can you believe that one? No. There it is. All right. Capture it. I messed it up.
Jan, you know what I'm thinking?
Someone take a screenshot.
Watch, Janice. Look at me.
I just got one. Oh, there we go.
I got it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Janice.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Jan.
We're sad, but we're happy for you.
Thank you for the many contributions you've made to the Webster Public Schools over the years, Jen. It's been a pleasure working with you for the few short years that we've worked together. Thank you for
Kay.
everything.
All righty. I'll let you guys go on, right?
Congratulations.
Do I have to stay? Do you want me to stay, Ruth Ann, in the meeting?
No,
Janice, you're the best. I'll see you.
Yes. I'll stay.
no, it's
You
your
might
call.
need me.
Yeah, we are going to need you. You need to stay. So in following up with my report, I do want to just focus on a little bit on informing you about what we've been doing. And as you know, our priority is safety. And as we maneuver our way through this pandemic, it's hard to keep that the focus. We have lots of goals, lots of things that we can be doing, but we're taking a very systematic approach. I can't stress enough how pleased I am at how everyone in the entire district has lifted each other up and followed through with the initial structures that we've put in, from custodians to cafeteria staff to paraprofessionals to teachers to related service providers and administrators. Everyone is communicating constantly and working together to figure this out, to support our families and our students. And if you think back, it's April 14th. We closed school. I closed school on March 12th. On March 16th, our teachers were working remotely. They were reaching out to students. Is it what it is today? No, it's been developing over the course of time. But we hit the ground running, and those initial structures continue to serve us really well. There's been so many positives and so many challenges, but I want to focus on the positives. And one of the major positives that has come out of this is our communication across the district has increased everywhere. Last week alone, Park Ave sent out 3,462 messages to families. Our Park Ave Middle School are sending out individual enrichment activities, but they're also staff are putting together videos of support and outreach without breaking social distancing. Staff are modeling that. People are trying to be creative. We're trying to keep some of our structures in place. My newsletter continues to go out. The Bartlett High School principal, Mr. Thomas, emails students every single day. The Park Ave administrators are starting to call individual students to surprise them, to say, we miss you, keep up the good work. Our Webster Middle School administrators are continuing to shift and share who's sending out a message. We're looking to make a concerted effort to make sure that we're not overloading social media, but we're balancing out some messages. This past week, they started up the Bartlett High School Facebook site again. There's a lot going on with Park Ave and Webster Middle School Facebook, so we've kind of gotten some information out that way. And all of this is happening, and it's completely new territory for everyone. I mean, Janice, you said it. Never in your wildest dreams would you imagine having to be at a school committee meeting when you were saying that you were retiring. Well, never in our wildest dreams would any of us have imagined how to figure out how to balance working from home, meeting our kids' needs the best that we can while trying to take care of our own families. This is not just difficult for our families and our students, it's also difficult for our staff, for our administrators. Where to draw the line? It's really hard to figure that out. It's a steep learning curve, and I feel so much pride in how our Webster employees, everyone, has band together to do the best that they can do. And some amazing things are coming out of that. When someone's having a difficult day, because people have difficult days during this, somebody else is lifting them up. When we've made concerted efforts to make sure that every single one of our students are safe, and that outreach has been really important. We've been collaborating with our guidance counselors, the school resource officers. We've done some wellness checks. We've done amazing things. I want to point out that we realize that every family, just as we're all sitting in our homes right now, has a different environment and competing interests. And we're trying to balance out what kind of structure our remote learning world is going to look like, with paying due respect to each of our families and our students and our staff. And that's a work in progress. I also want to let you know that I know that there are a million questions that are unanswered. We've taken an approach where we're communicating and looking at those unanswered questions as a team to break those questions down and then figure out what makes sense. We're really trying to put some consistent programming in place and not a willy-nilly, okay, well, let's try that. We're giving it very thoughtful, reflective time, and I know my team can attest to that because we're on meetings all the time trying to break down and problem solve. But we are doing that. You know, we're trying to figure out what possible solutions will work. I want to give you a few academic updates. Bartlett High School has reached all of their students. They've confirmed that all of their students have internet access. So we are providing new content to high school students. All of the high school students have either their Chromebooks or their own device. Bartlett High School and Webster Middle School recently completed Q3 report cards, and they were calculated up until March 12th, the day we left. We have given students ample opportunity to make up missed work. And though we're not mailing out report cards, but parents can take a look at PowerSchool to see how their kids did on Q3. We have not determined how we are going to grade Q4, along with all of the other schools in Massachusetts and probably across the nation. It is clear that this time out of school does not count, but we are collecting work and keep counting it as collected and not collected. So we will be figuring that out in the next couple of weeks. Our teachers are giving our students critical feedback on their work. And it's going in, as I said, into PowerSchool at the Webster Middle School and Bartlett as credit or no credit. Our Park Avenue teachers are providing feedback to students and families in multiple ways, and they've developed their own individual systems for tracking student involvement. We have been keeping safety our priority, and our our number one goal was to make sure that we had contact with everyone. And we have. At this point in time, we've taken it another step further. We wanted to see how many students who do not have internet. And this is actually kind of surprising. I thought the numbers would be a little higher. Bartlett High School, all of our students have access to the internet. At middle school, there's only 25 students that don't have access. And right now at Park Avenue, the numbers started at 10, but it's a little higher. They don't really have that firm number. But what we're doing is we're having counselors call and work with families so that they can walk them through the steps of getting free spectrum internet service. So we are also looking at the number of students that do not have access to devices. As you know, or may recall, when we first closed, we cleaned the Webster Middle School Chromebooks, and we had 2 days of distribution. And I think we gave out about 331 parents came to pick them up. There's about 60 to 70 students at at Webster Middle School that do not have their Chromebooks. There are about 148 students pre-K to grade 4 at Park Ave that do not have access to a device. So right now we are mailing hard packets of learning to them. We are in the process of cleaning and counting and putting together Chromebooks at Park Avenue Elementary School with a plan that we would be distributing them starting with grade 4 and moving down to possibly grade 2. But we want to be very, very careful on the timing of that. The next 2 weeks to 3 weeks are critical times where we want to make sure that we're not asking people to come out for something that's not essential. So we're still figuring that out. We anticipate potentially having a scheduled pickup starting with grade 4 after April vacation. So I will keep you posted on that. Under the special education realm, Kathy and I received some pretty good news this past week. We received the annual notification from DESE on the 2019-2020 determination of need for special education technical assistance or intervention. And I'm proud to say that Webster meets requirements for this year in that category. So that's good news. Am I going too fast?
No.
Okay. I just want to, as a reminder, let everyone know that during this school closure, the federal government has required us to meet free and appropriate education and IEP services. And Mrs. Barris has been doing a great job with organizing that structure. Mrs. Barris, do you want to say a few words about that?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, so, the initial guidance that we received was that, they were treating the situation as a school closure. So with a focus of, they really wanted us to focus on making sure we maintain contact with families and help support families during the time. So as things evolved and clarification was provided by the state through the federal government, some of those requirements changed. So we've been in the process, we just, this past week, developed a parent notification letter. So all of our parents will have a letter mailed to them this week with what the district plan is for meeting our obligations. Obviously, with school out, IEP's implementation will not look the same as it does if students were at school. So we are providing parents with information about how we intend to do that outreach, how we intend to provide remote learning and service delivery for students' IEP services as best we can. And this past week, we got further clarification and are developing a remote service learning plan, which we will begin to draw up for all of our students because we have quite a few, and we have been maintaining IEP meetings and so forth. We're going to roll this out gradually as far as providing plans, individual plans for each student. But all students have been accounted for. We have all of our service delivery being tracked and logged on a special form so that we can document the files of all of our students and provide that information to parents as they require it. So we've been very busy, and we're continuing weekly meetings with all of the school staff, individual meetings with each school, and providing support to our teachers and to our service providers as best we can. So I'm really, really proud, particularly of the special ed staff. I think, they're in a little bit of a different category because, it's really a required service. So they have really stepped up. I've been invited to join a lot of their Google Classrooms. People have been sharing their service logs with me. Some of the remote learning plans. I received a handful today from the high school, and they've just done a tremendous job. They immediately jumped right to it, and our speech and language team put together a folder of activities and support information for parents like within the first few days, and created a file that all of them can share and use together. So everybody has worked really, really hard, and they deserve a lot of credit for having to navigate all of this on top of, also dealing with their own families and situations. So just wanted to give a hats off to the special ed team. And that's it.
Thank you, Kathy.
Sure.
I just have a few other things just to fill you in on. I'm not going to read all of my report, but as you can
Wait,
see.
not to interrupt, we can continue if you want.
Okay.
If there's more to add after the public hearing. I don't want to end your report early.
Okay. So do you want me to stop now?
I'm going to actually wait a couple minutes because I know I have to allow people in, and
Okay.
once I start to share my screen, I can't see the Zoom screen.
Okay. So I just want to give a shout out to our food distribution centers, to Ellen Nyland, our cafeteria staff, and Monique. We've had those open since the week of March 16th. I think it was the 19th we actually opened. We've probably served over 10,000 meals since then. That's amazing. And we are condensing, for families that are going to be watching, we are condensing the Webster Middle School and the high school to one site, and parents can go to the Bartlett High School driving loop for that. And we have a new drop-off site at Head Start on 111 Street, and that's from 11 to noon. I can stop. I feel like I need to stop. Do you know?
That was School Street in Webster, on School Street.
Okay, School Street.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's fine. If you want to stop there, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm just going to pause the regular meeting at this time, as it is 7 o'clock, and we do have our FY21 budget public hearing. I will entertain a motion to open up the public hearing to discuss the FY21 school budget.
So moved.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Laurie, would you poll the committee, please?
Member Siddiqui?
Yeah.
Member Blythe?
Yes.
Member Naprata?
Yes.
Member McCara?
Yes.
Chairman Hurton?
Yes. So for those of us that have joined us, I assume you hopefully can hear us. If you can't, please let us know. As required by town charter, as well as a policy of the school committee for many, many years, we have always held our fiscal public hearing in April. There is a language in the town charter that we have to hold it a certain number of days prior to the town meeting. There's also language in the town charter that requires us to advertise the public hearing a certain number of days prior to the public hearing occurring. Well, that first advertisement, I believe, occurred prior to a lot of the quarantine and social distancing issues that we're currently dealing with. So as we got closer to this meeting, I had a conversation with Mrs. Perangeli and Dr. Gogan about, do we want to continue with the public hearing? And we made a decision that we did, because first of all, we think it's really important to get the information to the public in any form that we can as early as possible. Obviously, knowing that now town meeting has been delayed to the earliest now, June 22nd, But we also had it advertised and wanted to share this information. So that's why we made the decision to have the public hearing this evening. Our goal, and I'll turn it over in a minute to the administrators, is to obviously present the budget as it stands today. Like everything else that has occurred in the last 30 days, I think common sense would say that the original budget that was released by the governor, was that, Ms. Pransley, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, that Governor Baker released his initial budget?
Yeah, third week of January, but I believe it is.
There were revenue projections that were pretty accurate and pretty aggressive. I know there was a hearing earlier today, and many of the experts that were presenting, had various estimates on what the projected revenue numbers will look for, both for the state government as well as, what we're going to have to look for here in Webster. So the understanding is, because of the economic downturn related to the coronavirus crisis, most likely the final budget that we will have to work with regards to our Chapter 70 local funding is going to change. And we actually deal with that every year as we get closer and closer to town meeting. But this year it might be more dramatic than what we would expect. But again, we thought it was important for the district leadership team to present their budget, to present the information and the thought process behind what they want to try to accomplish in FY21. So with that being said, I don't see anyone else that has asked to join the public hearing. So I am going to share my screen. And hit this button.
Yep.
Alrighty. So I will turn it over to Dr. Gogan.
Thank you. Our FY21 budget that the school committee has approved is presented, that we had worked on. I just want to give a shout out to the collaborative efforts. When we build a budget, we take a fiscally responsible approach and we look at needs. And we work with our building administrators, who in turn work with their leadership teams and teachers to collect information. We use data to look at where our strengths are and our weaknesses are. This budget was is a really strong budget based on what our data is telling us about our student subgroup gaps, and it kind of falls in place with all of the things that we've been doing over the last 2 years. So if you want to click, David, you have to click it.
Yep, I just did.
I'm not going to read every slide. Our mission and our vision certainly are the most important things. I believe that those are living core beliefs in our district, and right now we are actually seeing that in our district with how our employees have band together. We can and we will make a difference. It's so true. Every single day, every single person is coming to the table in their own homes to help our kids. So this is a living vision and mission statement. Our part of a budget process is really a planning opportunity, an opportunity to take a look at what you're doing well and what you need to improve on. And it gives you an opportunity to be creative as well. And we've always taken that approach here in our district leadership team. What's not working and how can we fix it? We can use budget goals to fix it. As you know, Webster's been traditionally a low-performing district. We have school improvement plans and turnaround plans, and we've been working on them, and they've been getting better. I think this slide, I just want to point out the most important thing here is that for the first time in many, many years, the district accountability rating moved from not requiring assistance or intervention to meeting the substantial targets. The Park Avenue rating also moved to not requiring assistance or intervention. So progress is being made. And you know, as the school committee, the work that we've done to support our teachers and our staff with research-based curriculum, ongoing professional development. It's not a one and done. It's not been an easy process, but we've been working collaboratively with everybody. So some of these highlights are a refresher of what's been going on in our district for those of you who are watching. We have ample supports for our students. Our breakfast in the classroom programs have been rolled out at all 3 schools. We have a wonderful summer eats program, a 21st century program, after school support program. We have ample Title I after school supports. We've started some new programming at North Village over this past year. We have also have some sped pack, and we devised an ELL parent advisory group. We have an amazing athletic program at the Webster Middle School and Bartlett High School, and cheerleaders at both of those schools. And our extracurricular programs are spectacular, and they're listed there. And new this past year, we included and invited UINC therapeutic counselors to come to each of our schools to help our students and our families who aren't able to go out of their homes for therapeutic supports. We've had a number of professional development highlights. Our district strategic plan is our instructional strategies for our district to improve. It's about what's happening in the classroom. It's the strategies that we use. And so all of our budget money has been really turned back into curriculum and supports for our teachers. The most important thing that happens in any school is what's happening in a classroom. Now we're being challenged with trying to make that happen from our homes. There's a list of many of the things that we've done over the last couple of years. I don't think I need to read all of them, but let people take a look. Our community partnerships are really what makes that statement in Webster, kindness matters. We are blessed, and I say that from the bottom of my heart. We are truly blessed in Webster. Our full community supports what we're doing with our kids. We are constantly having people ask how they can help. Today, it was Life Song Church has put together 12 baskets of food that we are going to deliver with social distancing and a drop off for 12 of our families. We have Mafre who's asking how they can help. And all of these people on this list have helped us and will continue to help us develop programs and build stronger supports for our students and families. Not a lot of communities have that, and I'm really proud that we do. Budget process starts very early in the summer, and as you can see, there's a timeline. This year, our timeline has been extended. You had already mentioned, Chairman Hurton, that our town meeting has potentially been moved to June 22nd. On the next slide.
No, it's not working. Hold on. There we go.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So we're here at April 14th, and never in our wildest dreams would we have thought that we'd be here doing it this way. That's okay, keep going. Our budget goals are really to continue to prioritize safety and our student learning needs, and looking at learning environments. And the budget that you're going to see tonight is structured around supportive programs, in particular for our ELL special education, and to improve our social emotional supports for our students. With doing all of the things that we have built over the last couple of years. It is clear that we take a system-wide approach to determining and setting our budget and our priorities. And because we've been doing that with our budgets and the way that we've been leading the district, I think that's why we were able to sort of band together pretty quickly in this time of crisis and hit the ground running, because it wasn't chaos. We had some order. So our FY21 budget approach really is focusing on intervention with a focus on early literacy skills at Park Avenue, Certainly looking at closing learning gaps and ensuring appropriate time on learning for all content areas at the Webster Middle School. As you know, we've been working months on the Webster Middle School schedule. And at Bartlett, we're looking at expanding college and career pathways for all students. The budget presentation is lengthy. You're going to see all of this in the presentation. Mo, do you want to take a swirl and give me a break? Can't hear you.
You're muted.
Yep, I was muted. You can skip past this slide, Dave. We'll go through that. That's just a historical view of our budget. Our FY21 proposed budget is a 3.75% increase, coming in at $22,633,533. I would say it's been a very collaborative effort with the admin team and with the town administrator and town accountant as well. It's been a good team effort. In our FY21 budget at Park Ave, we were looking at adding a grade 4 teacher due to class size, 2 special education teachers, and increase 0.5 to our speech and language pathology assistant at Park Ave. For middle school, we will be adding 3 core content teachers. We'll have 2 4-person teams for grade 7 and 8. That's looking at the schedule, and those things could change moving forward. Who knows, as they work through the schedule. We're adding 1 counselor for 7th and 8th grade. We're adding 0.5 ELL teacher, adding a 1.0 paraprofessional for Journey Tier 2 supports, and increasing a 0.5 nurse assistant to be shared with Bartlett. At Bartlett, we are adding another para for Journey Tier 2 supports, increasing our foreign language, which was a 0.6 to make it whole, to make it a 1.0 foreign language, adding the other 0.5 nurse assistant that's being shared with the middle school, and pulling the athletic director out of the, it was a part-time position, and making that a full-time position for both the middle school and the high school, and pulling that out of the union. At the district level, we were looking to increase an admin assistant in the superintendent's office from a 0.5 to 1.0, and we have started centralized registration this year. That was running for, I want to say, a month before we had left on this long virtual break, and it was working pretty successfully. Desiree was doing a fantastic job with that. And we are looking at increasing our grounds. Currently, we have a 0.6, and he services mostly the grounds at the high school. I am looking for some assistance with the grounds at the elementary school. So increasing that will give him the flexibility to move around a little bit more and take care of the properties that, you know, the town has supported us with. For FY21, where some adjustments to our funding sources. We have included in our budget $306,000 in school choice money for technology and the nurse assistant. We reduced 1 phys ed teacher at the middle school through attrition. We have a reduction of a 0.5 foreign language at the Webster Middle School. As you know, that position was difficult to fill this year at a 0.5. And we also reduced a 0.2 ELL district coordinator that we had that has also been very difficult to fill. This just kind of summarizes the overall ins and outs that we had. And overall, you look at the net down the bottom, and it's about $532,000. If you look at the new positions and then the offsets. Dr. Gogan, I'll let you take it back over.
Sure. Over the last 3 years, we've made a concerted effort, being a turnaround district, to really put our budget and our resources into the classrooms. And you will see on this slide how we've progressively increased that. And we, as you know, have a curriculum renewal plan and a professional development plan that we've worked very hard on with our staff. And this shows you where the money's going. Social emotional supports and guidance counselors, we included caseloads, I'm sorry. We included that because we would like to have added and still would like to add another counselor at the Webster Middle School. You know, students can't learn if they have other things going on. Mental health and safety are a priority. So we want to make sure that our students are well supported. And that just is a peek at what our caseloads would be.
Dr. Gogan, can I stop you for 1 second?
Yes.
I just want to make sure that ding didn't mean somebody else joined the meeting, and I can't.
I think it was me.
Okay.
By text. I have grown children who like to text me.
All right. I just want to make sure.
I'm not sure because I don't have your screen, but I did get a text from one of my kids.
Okay, so maybe that was it. I'll just go back. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I don't think I need to go through the detail on the class size. This PowerPoint is posted on our website, but when we do a budget, and you've seen this traditionally for the last 3 years, we like to give you what our class sizes are, what our special education caseloads are, and there's this detail in the next few slides, which I would not be doing justice to rush through. And so when people are watching this has been posted, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has. They can just email us. I think it's important to take a look at our student populations. We service 62.3% of high needs students and 52.9% of economically disadvantaged students, and 21.3% of special students with special needs. Those are high numbers. We love our students, but when you have these kind of numbers, there is a need to have an increased social emotional supports and other types of supports. As you know, we provide free breakfast and free lunch for our students. So it's good to know what your student population needs are. And I think we base our decisions on that. Again, by race and ethnicity. As you know, the MCAS data is broken up into different subgroups and race and ethnicity. And one of the missions of any educator is to make sure that students are provided equitable opportunities to find success, regardless of their race, regardless of their ethnicity, regardless of their special needs, regardless of who, we want everyone to succeed. Our graduation and dropout rates, over the last few years, our dropout rates have definitely decreased and our graduation rates have increased. This is our historical view of our enrollment data. It sits around 1800, 1850. But the next slide will show you that we definitely have issues that come up because we have a transient population. We do have students that start with us, come in after the first of the year and leave, which makes it hard for teachers to have an impact, a lasting impact if they're in and out. Our Bartlett graduation data is here. Again, I mentioned this at the beginning of the PowerPoint. It's been a long time since Webster can say that we're not requiring assistance or intervention. We've made progress to be in the substantial progress towards targets as an overall accountability classification speaks loud and clear about the work that teachers are doing in the classrooms, the work that administrators are doing, the systems changes that we've put into place are taking effect. And that is something to be proud of. Again, I won't go into the detail, but this shows how we compare to the state at each of the MCAS testings. And as I'm talking about MCAS, the governor did sign the bill and the commissioner has waived the spring MCAS for this year, so there will be no MCAS testing this year.
One thing, not to interrupt, that I do want to reiterate is we hear a lot, especially those of us that interact with the public on a regular basis, about MCAS and how poorly we do compared to others. But as these next slides will show, correct me if I'm wrong, the orange red line is us, the blue line is Massachusetts.
That is
If I
correct.
recall your original presentation, almost every slide, we are very, very close to what the state average is. Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement. And I will point out, I am an educator. I've been an educator my whole life. The MCAS test is one small measure of student success. And I think what we're seeing in our district right now of how our staff are rallying to support our students socially is amazing. That will never show up on a test. Again, science. And then the details on special education. We go into our substantially separate programs and our caseloads. And we did that because we are requesting with the budget money to increase the number of special education teachers, to focus on early intervention at the elementary school. And we have a high number of special education students, 23.9%. That's higher than the state. And here's our breakdown of our statistics. In our second language learners, this is our breakdown over the last couple of years. We've seen an increase in the number of second language learners. And in this budget, we are requesting an additional 0.5 teacher for Webster Middle School. And those are our breakdowns. Monique, do you want to go for this? Are you muted?
Not anymore.
Okay.
My voice is faster than my hand there. So salaries make up about 80% of our overall budget. Our out-of-district tuitions is about 6.8%, and our maintenance makes up about 7.7% of our budget, which includes salaries. Overall, special education makes up about 30.8% of our overall budget, including salaries, contracted services, tuitions, and supplies. And it's important to note that this is only reflective of our LEA. It doesn't include the circuit breaker money that's involved. There is a breakdown of our circuit breaker and what we were anticipating for next year. So if you, we were hopeful to be able to carry over at the end of FY20. We budgeted $668,544, and we're hoping to carry over $692,000. That would be a full year. As you know, circuit breaker, you're allowed to carry over 1 year of your budget. And so that was our intent, to hopeful carry over 1 year, which would significantly help us next year in our budget. And we also showed a reduction in some of the tuitions next year, as we've had a couple of those larger tuitions leave the district. So we are in good shape with our circuit breaker money, and we were hoping to be able to have some carryover in FY21 to help us go into FY22.
Mrs. Pranzo, can you give a quick definition of circuit breaker?
Circuit breaker is money that we get reimbursed for services that are provided to our special education service students. So for anything above the base student rate, which is about 42,000, I believe it is now, we can get reimbursed up to 75% of that. There is a change also with circuit breaker this year for next year, that we are going to be allowed to include transportation costs in part of that reimbursement, and the new funding formula that went through.
Thank you.
This is a look at our school choice, and we'll be talking a little bit about that later. We were anticipating using, these were our balances up until then. Last year, we had used 100,000. We were looking to use 200,000 in 2020, anticipating kind of the level revenue coming in next year and adding the 142 that we put in our budget would still leave us a balance of 455,000 moving forward. So overall, our FY21 budget includes ongoing improvement in learning environments and student programming and staff development, which is, you know, our goal when we sit down. How can we best service students and the staff and make sure we're looking at it as a system-wide approach. Dr. Gogan, bring it home.
All right. I'm very proud of the collaborative efforts that we have in this district, from whether it's putting together a budget, handling a crisis. I feel blessed every day to work with the people that I work with, because our number one goal is to take care of our kids. And this is kind of apropos to have this logo here. This was created by a high school student. We made t-shirts with these and gave them out to our staff this year. And we have occasional Webster Pride days where we wear those. I can't wait to get back to school to wear our Webster Pride t-shirts again. It's about the kids and walking them up to their future. And I believe our staff do that really well. And that concludes our budget presentation.
Are there any questions or comments from the members?
Mr. Chairman,
Mrs. Siddiqui. I think
I
that was,
just first want to thank, you know, the whole team for putting this together. And I really think that this budget demonstrates a continuation of all the efforts that have been put forth over the last several years and really continues to move us in the right direction. So thank you.
any other questions or comments from the members? We did have one attendee who I don't see anymore that has joined us. So I don't believe there's anybody online at the moment if they wanted to ask any questions. As Dr. Gogan stated, for anyone who might be watching this meeting where we're not live, although they may not be in their offices, Dr. Gogan and Mrs. Perangeli are working probably harder than they have maybe ever, if not in a very long time. But certainly they are all available via phone and email to answer any questions that folks may have related to the FY21 budget. We know that, I shouldn't say we know, most likely there will be amendments to our budget as we get closer to town meeting, as there is every year, because even in a normal year, at this time, we usually only have the governor's numbers, and the House comes out with their budget, the Senate comes out with theirs, and as Mr. McCarra knows better than I over all the years, they all get together in this little secret room and call it a conference committee and then come out with a final number, which basically is what we end up using as our Chapter 70 local funding portion of our budget. So if there aren't any other further comments or questions by the members, again, to reiterate, Mrs. Siddiqui, thank you very much to the district leadership team, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Laurie, poll the committee, please.
Member Siddiqui?
Yeah.
Member Blythe?
Yes.
Member Naprata?
Yes.
Member McCara?
Yes.
Chairman Hurton?
Yes. So that ends the public hearing for the FY21 budget. Just one housekeeping, Laurie, you may have caught this, but just for the minutes, unfortunately, Mr. McCara had a little technical issue. Did you catch it
got
left the meeting? Okay,
Got it.
thank you. Dr. Gogan, we will continue with your report.
I just have a few other items that I do want to just fill you in on very quickly. I do want you to know that I continue to meet and work with the union, WEA union co-presidents. We are working on a memorandum of understanding to bring forth to you that will solidify the structures that we have in place during this school closure. Again, I couldn't be prouder of our back and forth conversations. Mrs. Perangeli is involved in that with me, with Mrs. Jeffers and Ms. Nassis. And, you know, we're really putting our heads together to put something in writing that makes sense for everybody. We also meet weekly with the paraprofessional union president, Mrs. Boyso, and we will continue to do that to keep the lines of communication open. As Monique had said earlier, we've continued to have a great working partnership with the town of Webster. We're working on a number of things, from the emergency closing to just business structures, to making sure that everybody knew that the Easter Bunny was coming to town. And I want to give a big shout out to Mrs. Marchand and the Webster Police for their efforts with putting smiles on our students' faces over the Easter weekend. I also want to let you know that in collaboration with the town and due to the increased cases of COVID-19, we have had to close our playgrounds and our basketball courts, and we did that in conjunction with the town. I'm not going to talk about the FY21 budget. I did fill you in on the MCAS. One other thing I do want to let you know that just for, as we've all alluded to, every day there's something different that changes. It's like getting a curveball thrown at you. Some of the curveballs are good and some aren't. But one of the curveballs that we've gotten is we've gotten some extensions on some of our grants, which have been very helpful for us to have the ability to refocus the grants on what we need right now. Our TAG grants, I want to give a shout out to Mrs. Daniels for working with me, with the principals at the other buildings to put some priorities on what we're spending. And we are going to use our funds for that up. I did want to just give you an update on adult education. We've been pretty busy. I'm sorry, my report is so long. The adult education program did receive a request from the Department of Education to move 21 of their seats from the ESOL side of their house to the adult basic education side of their house. They were given the elbow that if they didn't, they might lose funding, so they moved the seats. So right now they have, for anyone watching, 37 ESOL seats and 71 adult basic education seats open. They are, again, thinking creatively and doing remote service learning for the adults that are in that program, similar to what we're doing. I'm in constant contact weekly with Mrs. Baker. She is also applying for a new grant. It's called the Workplace Education Grant. This is a little different grant. It works with businesses. So she's looking to partner with Gentex. A lot of people who work at different businesses have different hours, which prohibits them from taking a course through the adult ed in a typical way. So this grant would be able to, would be given to see how adult ed and businesses could partner. So I'm glad she's taking that step. And another thing that was on the agenda was just the SWEC Q1 and Q2 reports. Those are simply for your review. I do want to give you a quick update that we have 13 students currently over at SWEC. These students are receiving remote work from their teachers over at SWEC. I do want to give you an update that Arnold Lundwall is the current SPED director. He will be taking over as the executive director July 1st, replacing interim director Alan Himmelberg. And their first quarter reports and second quarter reports kind of show a little bit of a deficit due to low enrollment, but they have guaranteed that their enrollment increases are started after January, but with this closure, I'm not sure what will happen. So those, if you have any questions about that, I can answer those. And then finally, to complete my very long report, I want to just give a reminder to families that we are observing our school calendar and that we will have April vacation next week. And it's important to note that during April vacation, our food distribution centers will be open. We are also accepting our pre-K and kindergarten registration packets by mail. And we want to continually remind our families to look at our resources on our website because we're always adding to them. And that concludes my long report.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions for Dr. Gogan? Hearing none, let me just again reiterate the obvious that, you know, the amount of work that you and your team and the staff and everybody in the district have done since the closure, I think it was on March 12th, has, in my opinion, been very remarkable. We're all living in a world that none of us have really lived in. And in the field of education, I know no one went to school or received any training on how to try to educate kids remotely or how to manage people remotely in an educational setting. And I would just say, I think probably the same thing I said at our last meeting, which I'm sure is happening, if not all the time, the vast majority of the time. I would just reiterate, I think, Dr. Gogan's earlier point to all of our parents and community members that, you know, please be patient. Information that the district is receiving on a daily basis is sometimes changing dramatically. Obviously, if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to the individual teachers, the building principals, and ultimately, if necessary, if those steps have taken, reach out to the superintendent's office. But I do ask that we all in the community try to continue to be patient and respectful and realize that we know that the level of education that we wish our kids were getting is not happening. That's just not realistic. But I also know the amount of work that's going into not only educating, but really caring and supporting and feeding our kids. So again, thank you very much for your efforts, Dr. Gogan.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. McCara.
just a brief to add on to that. I shared this with Dr. Gogan before we went live, but, you know, personally, I've been very impressed by our district's team and the level of work and detail that went into the COVID-19, you know, action plan. And just because friends, family, co-workers throughout the state, I've shared that a lot of that information with them because it's come up in conversation about different school districts, from neighboring districts to districts in North Reading, Merrimack Valley, and you know, other districts have been lacking, shall we say, compared to the detail of Webster. So you know, I just want to say, you know, I know it doesn't happen by accident, right? It happens with a total team effort. So again, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none, next item on the agenda is the business manager report. Good evening, Mrs. Perangeli again.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. First up on the agenda is the school building committee update. I believe at our last meeting, I told you I was expecting to hear from the MSBA in regards to an upcoming meeting. They are moving forward with a virtual meeting in April, tomorrow morning at 10. They will be moving forward with a full agenda, and looking at their agenda now, the meeting will open at 10, and we will be the 5th school district for an invitation to feasibility study. So I'm really excited about that. We expect everything to go smoothly tomorrow and move forward. We've been informed that if everything goes well tomorrow and we are approved to enter into feasibility, that Dr. Gogan and I will be required to sit in a training on Thursday at 11 o'clock. They're wasting no time, Module 2 training, to proceed into the next step of the project. So we're excited to be there tomorrow. I'm glad that, you know, everybody's adapted in this virtual world and moving forward. So we look forward to being there, and everything going well. We'll be on the training Thursday at 11, and I will bring you more information at our next meeting, our next school committee meeting. And then the next item on my report is the single audit report. As you know, annually we go through a couple different audits. We had our end of year audit done, and I presented that a couple weeks ago. And we had moved on to our single audit report. A single audit is they audit grants that are over $750,000. So typically our Title I, our food service, and our special education get audited, and they alternate years. This past year, I'm glad Ms. Daniels is sitting here. They audited Title I in our food service. Our food service gets done pretty much annually, and they alternate between the other two grants. I'm happy to report that we had no findings on any of our audits this year for our grants. So that's a huge shout out to Ms. Daniels, because I know there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, not just in the numbers, but on the compliance end of that, making sure that we're getting all the notifications out, we're doing all the certifications. There's a whole nother world to that. So this is the best possible outcome we could hope for, a no finding audit. So, and kudos to you, Jan, and thank you for your efforts on that. And I also thank Ms. Nyland for food service. Those are really good audit reports, so I appreciate that. And that concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the committee? Hearing none. Next item on the agenda, there is nothing under old business. First item under new business is approval of use of school choice funds. Dr. Gogan.
Thank you. As I had alluded to previously, we've been able to take a look at our grants, and there's been some extension of some deadlines. We've been able to reallocate some of our TAG grant money. We're in the process of doing that. Approximately about $36,000 that we would like to use for Chromebook replacements. In thinking about remote learning and making sure that students have devices, certainly grades 3 and 4, we wanted to just get your approval. We're not 100% sure that we would need to access school choice, but we want to get your support that if we need to, we can. So that's why this is on that agenda. Mrs. Perangeli, do you have anything to add on that?
No, we are just looking to procure about 300 Chromebooks. We have dispersed all of grades 5 through 12. We are looking at grades 2, 3, and 4. What we're finding now is also not having, as we need to support the remote learning, we need to do replacements and take care of technology repairs and things like that and swap out. And we just don't have the supply to continue that long term if needed. So a big part of this is just looking to procure those. We are looking at our grant funding. We are looking at LEA funding. We're hoping to see some savings with the remote learning. We're not spending certain money like sub money or some supply money. So there's an ability to have some cost savings in our budget, but we just wanted to have the school choice available if needed.
Right.
So is the dollar amount you're looking for at 36,000, is that correct?
No.
No, the 36,000 we're pulling from some TAG grants.
Okay.
Some other grants.
What is the dollar
It's
amount?
about $80,000 total to procure approximately 300 Chromebooks.
So the max you're looking for is 80,000, correct?
Correct. That would be the max.
Are there any questions or comments from the members?
Mr. Chairman,
Mrs. Siddiqui.
just actually, I think it's a great idea to make technology available for the kids that don't have it. I think my only question would have to do with if we have Chromebooks already at the schools, would we be looking to deploy those to the kids that need the technology and then have the new Chromebooks available when school resumes? We're not issuing the brand new ones, right?
Correct. You're absolutely
Okay.
correct. That's my plan. Yep.
Okay.
Because it kind of, the Chromebooks that we're issuing out also and are taking home are also at their end of life. So we were looking to replace down the road anyways. You know, Park Ave, those Chromebooks we got with Park Ave when they opened in 2015 for the younger grades. So it would make sense to send those home and keep the new ones for when we reopen.
Thank you. That sounds like a good plan.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve up to $80,000 of school choice funds to be utilized to purchase Chromebooks.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Laurie, would you poll the committee, please?
Member Siddiqui?
Yeah.
Member Blythe?
Yes.
Member Naprata?
Yes.
Member McCara?
Yes.
Chairman Hurton?
Yes, it's a unanimous vote. Next item on the agenda is discussion of superintendent evaluation calendar. So originally, the plan was that we would complete Dr. Gogin's evaluation during the month of April. I don't know why, but she seems to be telling me that she's been a little busy lately. And I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I have to trust her. But in all seriousness, obviously, the last thing I wanted to do during the last 30 days was mention to Dr. Gogin that, you know, we need you to spend a lot of time to prove the great job that you're doing. But I did have a conversation with her recently because it is important to make sure, obviously, one of the three primary roles of a school committee is approving a final budget, approving all policy, and hiring and overseeing the superintendent. And so I did have a conversation with Dr. Gogin and our plan, and I wanted to discuss it this evening with the members, just to make sure that A, you agree, and B, this kind of let you know what we will need from you in the near future. The plan would be for Dr. Gogin to present her findings at our next meeting, which will be April 28th, unless we need an emergency meeting before then for something that comes up unexpectedly. And then you would be asked to complete her annual evaluation, and then now those evaluations will be presented at the following meeting, which will be occurring on May 12th. Anything I missed, Dr. Gogin, or anything you want to add?
No.
Perfect. Are there any questions or comments or concerns from the committee? Perfect. Next item on the agenda is review, transfer, signing of bills, payroll, and vouchers. I assume, Mrs. Perangeli, that the warrant that you sent to us has already been approved through the warrant signatory law, for lack of a better term.
Did it again. Ms. Blythe came in and signed, yes.
Okay. But part of that law is we are required to review it and then discuss it if there are any questions or concerns at the next meeting. So are there any questions or concerns related to the warrant that was presented to you this evening?
No.
Hearing none, let me just say before we adjourn, obviously I wish everybody in the community health and safety. I especially wish to our staff, hopefully you get some rest over the April vacation next week, and to all the families in the school district. I can't imagine how difficult it is. Fortunately, my children are no longer younger, but please be safe and try to get some rest, and hopefully things will improve. We don't know when, but hopefully things will improve in the near future. Excuse me. And since I'm losing my voice, which is probably the best thing you've heard all night, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Laurie, would you pull the committee, please?
Member Siddiqui?
Yeah.
Member Blythe?
Yes.
Member Naprata?
Yes.
Member McCara?
Yes.
Chairman Hurton?
Yes, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.